Greetings. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Metaphysical Insights. I have the wonderful Donna Fitzgerald as my guest right now.
Hi.
Kathy Guinn was going to be here, but we're having technical difficulties. And as you can hear by the echo, we still are, but they're not as bad with two of us. So, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section, and I have the power to make them appear because I'm magic.
Yes, you are, William.
And Donna, welcome. It's so good to have you.
Thank you, William. It's so good to be here. It's my first ever time to do something like this.
Aha.
So you'll have to forgive me now if I'm a little bit on the nervous side, I suppose, really. But
Uh,
it's good
well,
to be here.
well, good. I'm glad you are, and I'm honored that you're allowing me to give your first, at least partially solo.
Well, it's an honour for me, I have to say, and I often hear stories, back from when Barry's been on the show with you. So it's all good.
Okay.
It's great.
Oh, good. So they're not horror stories.
No, no. Well, only if he's telling them, of course. He's quite good at them, but
Yeah.
he's not very good at watching horror stories or horror movies or anything like that. Unfortunately,
Oh, is he pointing
no.
out all the flaws?
Oh, he's well. I may have to point out a few of his flaws.
No, I
But
don't
it's
mean
my
that.
duty.
His. I mean the flaws in the movies.
No, he just does not like horror movies at all or scary movies. It makes him really, really uncomfortable. For a
Okay.
man that will confront spirit head on and unusual phenomena head on, he will not watch it on a screen. So it's
Okay.
I have to coax him a little bit.
Yeah, I can understand that.
A loud
Let's
question never
see.
held up.
Irene is asking if you can turn your mic up a little bit. It's hard to hear,
Okay,
but I'm not sure.
let me see now. We're having terrible trouble with the sound tonight.
Yeah, I apologize, people.
Is that any better?
I think so. My doppelganger voice in the background doesn't help. But anyway, I wanted to find out more about you in this field and
About me? Oh,
and how you got involved and all of that. Aha,
there's thoughts.
great.
I hear you're talking to William Becker. I thought I would come in and say hello.
It's great to have you come in and say hello.
Thank you very
Um,
much, William. It's good to see you again. And I know that Donna's on tonight, so I've taken a smaller seat. Um, and folks at home will see this small egg head in the bottom corner, and yeah, so I'm just here to
well,
support.
that's the professor intellectual. That's over here. We call them eggheads. The the super brains.
The super brains,
So
absolutely.
yeah, but
Um,
yeah, we were just getting started, and how Donna got involved. Um, were you interested in this stuff before you two
I,
connected, or?
oh, absolutely. I have been, I suppose, attracted to the paranormal, supernatural, anything unusual since I was a very, very small child. I suppose by the age of 4, I started watching horror movies with my mom. She was the same. My grandmother used to read tea leaves. So there was always I suppose, the element of it, kind of surrounding me growing up.
Uh,
My dad was a great man for telling stories of the Fae. So I would be up fishing with him all day on the lake, and it was just complete stories from the minute we got into the boat till the minute we got home. It was wonderful. And of course, I grew up beside an old jail. So it had been closed down in 1958, I think it was. So there was a vast history to the place, but serious trauma obviously went on in it, like any other jail.
Right.
That was my playground.
What a wonderful playground.
It was indeed. It absolutely was. It opened up my world anyway, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Did you actually have experiences with any of the Fae?
The Fae, that's a very hard one to know because they present themselves in so many different ways. It's very hard to determine what the Fae is and anything else. But
Yeah.
I certainly would have had experiences, all right. You know, what they were now is a different story. But I was always very much the skeptic. Barry's nickname for me is Why. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I question everything. To a fault, really, I think.
No, dear.
Well, I think a certain amount of it's really important. We have to look at all the possible reasons for phenomena, or where our imagination is, or
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I was very, very skeptical. Most of my adult life, I was skeptical, and whenever I was doing paranormal investigations myself, I was always the one that would find the reason for that door slamming, or the creaky floorboards up the stairs, or the bright eyes in the dark night. I would go and search, and I'd always find the answer. I wasn't very well liked probably with some of the team members for it, but somebody had to be grounded, and I took that responsibility. But then myself and Barry met, and it was actually the first night that we met. I didn't know Barry from Adam, really. We were just starting to get to know each other, and it was the first time that I saw my first shadow apparition, I suppose, really. I don't know what other way to describe it, and I went, okay, I can't find an answer to this one. I just can't find an answer to this one. And then about a year later, I saw my first apparition. I saw a full-bodied apparition.
What was it and where?
It was in, what do you call it? Queen Street, wasn't it? Queen Street Barracks. It was an old RUC barracks in Belfast. And we were heading up for an investigation, and we were in different rooms looking after the people that were there. And I saw the light of a torch coming up the stairs, hitting the back wall, and I thought the teams were changing over. And this man popped his head out from the stairs, and I don't know him. Who's this man? And I was on the walkie-talkie, and I was asking the guy who was leading the investigation. I said, are you after sending somebody up the stairs to do the switchover? And he says, no. And I said, well, there's somebody after coming into the building then. I said, he's got a name tag on him, he's got a short sleeve kind of creamy white shirt, he's got grey hair. And he said, Donna, I'm looking on the cameras, he said, and there's nobody there.
Wow.
So I ran towards him because I wanted to confront whoever it was, and I could see right down the 3 flights of stairs, and I was there within seconds. There was nothing. So I suppose you could really say
what is
that's feedback from somewhere.
Huh. And we've got the echoes still.
Yeah, the echoes is still slightly there. We'll try that, see how it goes.
okay, boss.
Okay.
Yeah, Barry kind of opened, I suppose, my mind. He opened my world a little bit more.
Okay.
that respect, and over the years, I have seen some unusual stuff that I can't explain. So, especially in the middle of the night when you get up, maybe to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh,
It's not me that she's looking at.
that sounds
right.
awful the way I said that.
Yes. So, what kinds of things? It sounds like your house gets a bit haunted.
I don't know if it's the house per se. I think it might be what comes into the house after maybe Barry's been somewhere, or
This is where I need to look away. I'm looking at something else.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes things can follow us home from a place,
Right.
and specifically Barry, I think, because he is such a bright light.
Hmm.
Flies, moth, whatever's attracted to the light. So, and he takes a few lodgers now and again home.
Okay.
And there are times that you mightn't realise it, and I do. So we have a great balance in that respect. What I don't see Barry does, and what he doesn't see I do.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
yeah, it works quite well.
Can you train any of the entities to do the dishes, help pay the mortgage?
William, I can't train my husband to do the dishes.
Well, that I could have told you. Uh,
So
yeah. Well, I hear of people that get these ghosts that do all this housework for them, and I'm thinking, send them my way.
I think in our luck we'd get a poltergeist that just wanted to mess it up.
I think we have one of those. It's called a grandchild.
Well.
How is she doing?
She's wonderful. She is the light of our lives.
Excellent.
She really is. She has definitely given us a new lease on life, hasn't she, Barry? And of course, she adores Undead.
Well, I'm sure she's learning all kinds of new journeys and adventures.
Absolutely. There are stories galore ready to be told. I think he's going to teach her a little bit of mischief as well.
That I believe, yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She'll be skilled in the art of mischief by the time she's 5, I'd say.
She will.
Mm-hmm.
She will.
Excellent. Good. Well, what kinds of, I guess, what kinds of places do you really prefer going to? I mean, are you interested more in the ghosts that are around, or in a place the entities? Are you looking more at some of the more esoteric beings that have a bit more mystery to them, that are non-human?
I think so. I'm personally, I'm very drawn to nature anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Nature has a way, I think, of calming me, and it definitely kind of creates more stable thinking and clarity. And I think when you have that, you can see a lot more, you can feel a lot more. You're more aware of your environment, full stop.
Right.
But I think my own interests are quite broad in respect. I would have had a great interest in Malachi Martin or Gabriel Amorth's work over the years. There's quite a varied interest there with me.
Okay. Now, who was it you said again?
Father Malachi Martin. He was a Vatican exorcist.
Oh, okay.
Gabriel Amorth, he was the head exorcist as well. So not just for the demonology aspect of it, but I think they gave quite a lot of warnings in respect to anything unusual. So
Okay.
I think it's always good to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think that there are purely evil beings out there?
I think there's an evil essence or energy, definitely, and I think it has a way of maybe manifesting, be it in a person. I definitely think there's badness there, and it's attracted to badness, but sometimes it's attracted to goodness as well, and wants to destroy any goodness, maybe.
Okay.
You know, um, I don't know, do I believe in the physical devil, whatever you want to call him? I don't know if I believe in that,
Hmm.
but we're always learning.
Yes, we are. And I like what you said with the the basic energy out there. I mean, we've seen that in human beings.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't do politics on my show, but you don't have to look too far back in history to see some pretty atrocious characters that have come close to trying to destroy the world or populations of certain groups of people, at least.
Yeah, I think it's possible no matter what. And I think there's also the thing of infiltration. You know, I mean, again, the Vatican might be a good example of that. Um, there's a lot of Jesuit priests that claim that there's evil in the Vatican. So you
Okay.
have an insidiousness that has kind of seeped into areas where people were naturally good, or their
Hmm.
intentions were good, and you might have an insidiousness that will set in with the appearance of being good, but
Right.
it's there to completely destroy the foundations of anything.
I wonder if that came in with so many of the people that came in for power, control, and enrichment. I mean, we've had some really good
Yeah.
people at the Vatican, and we've also had, just like any power institution, um, a lot of greedy thieves, and murderers.
Yeah, absolutely. I see power as much of an addictive drug as alcohol or heroin or cocaine or gambling. I think power has its own kind of it can create that addiction.
I
The
think you're
more
right.
you have, the more you want. It's just like
Hmm.
money and greed.
Right. Now, what do you think with some of this energy? Well, I'll just give it an example. I work with people sometimes who think they have something demonic in their house, and it's because it seems to be more destructive. They forget that humans have that same ability. But I find that usually, if they've changed the energy they bring in to the house, um, take the fighting off the property. Don't put on horror movies. Sorry, um, but play happier music, brighter colors. Let the sunlight in. Um, Work on bringing in gratitude instead of sorrow. Um, a lot of times that energy changes, and either the negative goes away, or all it's eating is the positive, so it changes to positive.
I
Do you think
agree.
on that
Yeah,
larger scale?
I agree. I think if you promote positivity, you know, if you get up in the morning and say, I'm going to have an awful day, then that's the mindset you go into that day with. You're going to have an awful day.
Right.
But if you get up in the morning and you think to yourself, today is going to be fabulous, and it's raining
Mhm.
outside, today is going to be fabulous. You make it fabulous. I think you can create your own energy, and I think the same thing goes for things around you. We can all influence people
Right.
because I could come home someday and I could have had a terrible day at work and I could come in the door in bad mood,
Hmm.
and Barry will say to me, you know, what's wrong, babe? How was your day? I don't want to talk about it. It was awful. That in turn puts Barry in a bad mood. Barry might go in to Kira and say something, and that puts Kira in a bad mood. So negativity feeds negativity, but in the same respect, positivity does the same.
Hmm.
So it's you know, it's what you're feeding, I think.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I I agree with you. And it happens in so many aspects of life. It's part of why, uh, even in therapy, they say keep gratitude lists. I mean, if nothing else, find three things that you're grateful for. And it could be something just simply that the rain isn't getting on me.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah,
You'll find that you'll start off with three things thinking you didn't have one and end up with 10, you
exactly.
know. So,
Hmm.
so what about you,
Yeah.
Barry? Not what are you grateful for, obviously.
I think the human race naturally are weighted toward negativity.
Okay.
So I think there's already an overbalance there, which is which I think is used against us. So it's more work for us to continually swim against the current, and continually try and find that shallower water, which we would call positivity. So I think that can be difficult for a lot of people,
Yes.
and it's much easier to roll with the current, and go into those dark places. But we have to find it.
Yes.
It's something we have to do. We have to find balance. The universe is about balance.
Yes.
Shadow would not exist without the light, and we can't appreciate light without shadow.
Right. And so much of the shadow is just the opposite side of ourselves.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
in some levels.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think we are weighted towards the negativity, though? I hadn't thought about that.
I think that's who we are as a species. I think that's who we are.
We were born with base instincts, maybe that's.
Well, I think there is an element within us. Our soul, I think, is based within those base root instincts. Its purpose is to serve to keep us alive, but it really feeds in those base instincts of impulse, of need, of want, and that in itself can come across as negative.
Right.
So we've already got that impulse within us. But likewise, we also have a spirit, which is of light. Um, but uh, but again, this is something that I see that the human race is just overweighted somewhat to the negative end. There's more of an influence there,
Okay.
and even with the um, spectral um, interpretations of the metaphysical, we tend to see that the negative ends of spirituality, of the paranormal world, they reach us quicker than than the positive. So again,
Ah,
that would place us universally toward again where this balance, we're slightly off balance. We're more easily, we're more readily placed for the aspect of negativity to reach us
mhm.
more so than the positive.
Okay. And that makes sense. And then looking at it from like a light, a color wavelength,
Mm.
the negativity would maybe be a shorter
Well, no,
wavelength.
it's actually longer. Um,
Okay.
it would be into the infrared spectrum and above.
Okay.
So the negativity will manifest through infrared,
Okay.
where the positivity will manifest through the shorter wave bands of the ultraviolet.
Okay. And I remember you talked about those colors as one drawing the the nicer beings and the other drawing the less nice.
Yes,
And
yes,
using the infrared night vision is usually drawing what we don't want and scaring away the ones we want.
that's actually right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I pay attention to your talks. I don't know if Donna does, but
Oh, I do. The man I think is an absolute genius.
yeah.
I have to say. Um, and there are times that I'm actually astounded by some of the stuff. that Barry does, or that he discovers, or whatever. And I help him with his research. I would be always supporting him and doing what I can. But there are some days, I'm at work and Barry say, "Wait till I tell you what I'm after discovering." And what makes
Right.
it worse is that he will make me wait the 8 hours before he
Uh-huh.
tells me. And I'm like a cat on a hot tin roof at work all day until I get home. And then
Yeah.
By the time she gets home, she says to me, "Well, what have you got to tell me?" And I've forgotten.
because he's moving on to something else.
Oh, that's infuriating. I hate it when that happens.
Very much so. Very
Oops,
much
sorry.
so. But yeah,
Well, I was wondering how much you actually work together, and so this is great that you're both actually here right now because I wouldn't have asked that if it was just you and Kathy. Um, but it's you two. I mean, just hanging out with you, spending time, whatever. You're an amazing couple. You're great people together and
thank you.
separately, but I haven't seen you in action working on a project or out in the field, that kind of thing. And how does it work? Because I know that, well, like the Banshee story and a few things, um, you've all had some pretty lively encounters together.
That's a word for it. Absolutely, yeah. That's a
Hmm.
word for it, I suppose. I work in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody who likes to work in the background. I'm the one with the big stick poking Barry. Like do this, do that, get this done, get that done. Um,
Hmm.
but Barry has a great work ethic himself. It's just sometimes he'll get caught up. You can hyperfixate maybe on one particular part of research,
Right.
and to me, it's done. It's been explored. Move on to the next. Barry would hyperfixate, and spend maybe a week on one particular aspect. No, you're writing a book. Get yourself in gear and move on. Um,
Hmm.
I suppose I would do a lot of your research for you,
Mm-hmm.
your paperwork and stuff like that.
And even out in the field, there was something that we have noticed, which is very very unusual,
Yes.
in that when the phenomena is happening, um, something will interfere with Donna's um, experience. It will
Oh,
almost lock her out of the experience.
that's interesting.
It is. It's infuriating,
Yeah.
but it is. It's quite interesting. We had a couple of experiences. Well, when I say we, I'm using that term loosely because I wasn't allowed to experience it. When we were in
California.
California, that's right, up on top of the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
I,
Hmm.
for some reason, got this excruciating headache, and it was the worst migraine I've ever had in my life. And the
Ooh.
nausea was unbelievable and everything. Now, we were going up the mountain to have this experience, and you don't normally, you're not able to sleep with a migraine. You just can't. So everybody
Right.
got out of the car on the top of the mountain, and I fell asleep. And I didn't waken up until everybody was getting back into the car. And it seems that there was a big hullabaloo going on. I slept through the whole thing, and my headache was gone when we were on our way back down. So I missed that. It was lovely for everybody to experience it, but you can imagine how I
Hmm.
felt.
Right.
um, that wasn't the only time. There was another time we had a friend of ours over from England, and myself, Barry, and himself were sky watching out on our decking down at the bottom of the garden,
Hmm.
and we'd been there for an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours, talking, and we had the equipment out and everything. And I went in to go to the bathroom, boop, boop, in the sky, just the minute that my foot went in to the house, Barry and Paul saw it.
Oh, wow.
And I think you were a little bit reluctant to tell me at first because you knew I'd be upset, but it is what it is, you know. But I remember getting very mad. I remember getting very mad at one particular time, and I kind of was shouting up at the sky, let's say. And then it wasn't that long afterwards that both of us were at the back door, and we did see something, like, you know, we both saw it at the same time.
What did we see?
A triangle. Absolutely.
Triangle passed over the top of the house.
And it was
Interesting.
quite the spectacle now, I have to say.
And of course, I did not have a camera in my hand.
Of course not.
And it really does explain why some people, you know, like when they're asked, why didn't you record this? You know, you're caught in the moment. You're just completely and utter transfixed on what you're seeing.
Right.
The last thought in your mind at that particular moment in time is, I'm going to take my eyes off this now to go and get a camera.
Right.
You're afraid you'll lose it.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I was quite grateful, I have to say, for that one. But over the years, I have missed so much.
I wonder if there's somebody protecting you.
Well, funny enough, we actually were talking about that today. I don't know if it's a case of what we suspected at first was that I was being excluded because of my constant, who are you? I don't believe you.
Okay.
I don't believe you. You know, my skepticism maybe, or my constant questioning of everything. I question everything. So at first we were thinking maybe that's why. And then I was having to say to Barry, what if it's not a case of their actions that are making me, you know, not experience it? What if it's somebody that's protecting me from experiencing it? You know, so
I get the sense of a man around you that protects you, and it feels like a father type figure. Not a lot of hair. Kind of average height and build, I think. I don't know. That's a very general description. So, but I'm not going to say who it is or isn't. I'm not sure, but that's what I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going on.
Okay.
And I don't know why they think you need protecting, but I think it has to go back to all the stories when you were a kid too. Maybe to help keep you from grabbing at the rattlesnake type of a thing.
Well, I'm quite good at that. Yeah, I think there are times you've had to pull me back in caves and stuff.
Yeah, especially caves. Because you know yourself, William, going into a cave system that you're unfamiliar with, you have to be careful. You have to take your time. You have to study the rocks, that there's nothing going to come down on your head.
Right.
And of course, Donna, she got down in front of me, and I turned around to speak to someone and turned back, and Donna was gone. She was like a ferret in the hole.
Jeez.
And I looked in, and I saw the feet disappear down the hole. So I had to voice my concern then.
Yes.
That everything takes time.
But it's an adventure. Life is an adventure, and I normally have to be so grounded. Nice.
That you get underground and you unground yourself.
I like William understands. I like the way you're after putting that. Yeah. Actually, that's quite a good point. I do tend to go a little bit caveman, don't I? So
I like it.
Now and again, it's quite nice to let go.
Yeah.
It's rare.
I'm too afraid of stepping into a crevasse or running into some kind of an animal that wants to eat me or something.
I see, that's why we live in beautiful Ireland. Everything here loves us. Nothing.
I believe it, including the Fae.
Oh, well,
that's debatable.
Yeah.
That's quite debatable now. There's a little bit of a, we say, a grey area
Okay.
with them.
Well, we have them too. And my experiences have been pretty good, but I give lots of respect and I try not to intrude. And if they want to let me see them, great. And if not, that's fine. And I tend to treat the paranormal beings with more respect than I do the breathing humans. But
That's a learned kind of an experience, though, isn't it?
yeah. And not afraid of them. I just like to be respectful. And figure that way they'll be respectful back.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot of things I'm afraid of, but I think there's an element of fear within that respect that we have for them here, and I think it's probably because of the stories from our parents and our grandparents, because they were afraid.
Right.
There was always an element of fear when they were telling the stories, you know. I mean, you put the iron poker across the child's crib in case they're stolen.
Right.
The horseshoe outside the door to
Mm-hmm.
keep the fae away. If they were wonderful little beings, then you wouldn't have to do these measures to keep them away.
Right.
So there's obviously a balance that has to be had with them. And
Right.
I think respect is definitely one of the words.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, because I'm certainly not an expert on protection or anything else, so respect's what I've got. But I wonder how many of those stories were to keep people from getting lost in the woods or falling into the river, and how many of those were from real actual encounters.
I don't know, because health and safety, you know, going back to the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, here in Ireland anyway, there was no such thing as health and safety. You know, it really was a process of natural selection. If Paddy Joe from down the road didn't make it, then that was his turn. It was accepted that that was somebody's turn. So I don't know. The church might have had some influence in some of the stories, maybe keeping people away from certain things, maybe stopping them from having their pagan practices of maybe leaving the whiskey or the chocolate or the coins out for the fae.
Yeah, I think that gets into a very strange area, especially when you start leaving adorations for them.
Yes.
Because that places them above us. And where I prefer to see us as equals.
Yes.
And that I relate better to. I never did like the idea of, and this goes across the board for everything.
Right.
That I don't leave offerings or adoration for these beings, and because let's face it, they don't leave me any. Especially those damn pesky leprechauns and their bloody gold. I haven't left me a piece of gold yet.
That's right. I haven't gotten any either.
Look, I'm going to have to let the dog out. But William, it has been a real pleasure to see you again. And
Barry,
be gentle with my wife.
Absolutely. It's been great to see you. Take care.
Thanks, David. But yeah, like W.B. Yeats. You know the poet W.B. Yeats?
Yes.
That man was into some stuff, you know, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
But there are quite a few of his poems that mention the fae, and there's always caution, you know, like up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we daren't go hunting for fear of little men. The word fear is always in there. Or come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild. there's always that element of be afraid, be cautious, be careful.
Right.
So I think when you're dealing with nature spirits or fae, they don't have the same mindset as a human being has. We've conscience. We know right from wrong. Well, most of us do anyway. There are some that don't, obviously, but
Right.
I think we know right from wrong,
Hmm.
and our focus is on the emotions that we feel. If we're angry, if we're happy, if we're sad, if we're in love. Um, Animals are different. Nature is different.
Yes.
Nature is very basic, and it can be quite brutal.
Hmm.
So I try and look at nature spirits in that light. They don't see things the same way as a human would. So therefore you've always got to tread carefully.
Right. And I hadn't thought of things like a fairy or an elf or somebody as a nature spirit before. That's interesting. I like that. It makes sense.
To me it does. Obviously everybody will have their own opinion, but to me it does. I mean, they are part of the nature of this land.
Right.
We came about through evolution.
Hmm.
We weren't, originally part of the land. Um, but that, again, that's just my opinion. The way everybody has their own thoughts on different things. Like myself and Barry, that's one good thing about myself and Barry. We don't always agree, or we don't always see things the same, but it's great because we can sit and debate for hours and hours about something,
Right.
and eventually we always meet in the middle. There's
Hmm.
always a middle ground with us when it comes to a subject.
Oh, good.
It just, we always kind of mean, oh, okay, I didn't know that. That's actually very good, Donna. Or that's great, Barry. I didn't know that. So
Right.
eventually, it just brings the subject and it condenses it into a
Hmm.
middle ground where we're both seeing it.
I like that. It's so difficult to have a complete picture without having somebody to do that with.
Yes, yeah. Um, I think definitely everybody sees things differently. And I always think that we can learn so much from even those that we disagree with.
Right.
We can learn so much instead of,
Hmm.
I don't want to hear what you have to say because I know where you're coming from, or I know the way you see that, and I don't believe in your investigation methods. I think we've all got something to learn from each other.
Hmm.
No matter what we think, there's you've never ever, I think, heard a man or a woman going to their deathbed saying, my goodness, I shouldn't have done that, really, should I? It's always, I should have done.
Yes.
I should have done. I wish I'd
Right.
done.
Hmm.
It's always about something that we didn't do. So I think listening to each other is a big part of.
Yes. And I find in a lot of ways, or a lot of different scenarios too, because we live in a time where there's a lot of polarity, and I'm sure there is over there just like here. And it can be shocking sometimes when you hear something from somebody you really like that seems to go against any kind of the sense or thinking, or actually in a sense morality that you have. But when you look at the commonalities and listen to where people are coming from, you can get an understanding, and it's not something weird and awful. Then you don't have to agree,
Yes,
but the humanity comes back.
exactly. And there's a saying that I live by. Even if after debating or talking, you're still in disagreement with each other, no matter who it is, and they're going off and they're calling you names and they're in their heads.
Yeah.
What goes on in somebody else's head is none of my business.
Right.
that's the way that I cope with life. And that's the way that I cope with negativity from people towards me, maybe.
Hmm.
Or what goes on in somebody else's head is none of my business.
Right.
I can't control somebody else's thoughts. I don't want to control somebody else's thoughts because free thinking is what has made us a good society.
Exactly.
Originally, you know. Originally.
Yeah. Well, and a Cannigan too.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. But it's also what we can choose is our how we handle our own reactions.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's pretty much it.
It is, William, it is. And I mean, I think the human race is innately good. I do. I think the core of the human race is good because we were we have this nature in us that we're community orientated.
Hmm.
We're there. We're supposed to look out for each other. We're supposed to,
Right.
I suppose, go towards the bigger picture,
Hmm.
and that that's why when you would ostracize somebody from a community years ago, it was the worst thing. It was death.
Literally.
It was literally death, and I know that
Yes.
specifically here in Ireland. If you were ostracized from your tribe, that was it. It meant death because that was your cocoon, that was your safety net. And I do think there's still an element of that. I mean, if you take 10 houses in the one area together, you can be sure those 10 houses will look after each other.
Right.
They might fight, but they'll still look after each other. We're still very community orientated, I think.
Yeah. I like that. And I definitely agree with what you're saying. I look around, um, even just going to the supermarket or Costco or something. It's usually I see more positive going on,
Good.
including people's faces. I mean, you look and smile, and people smile, and have a friendly word to the cashier, and even if they've had a grumpy day, they smile a little bit. Or
Yeah.
if I've had a grumpy day and somebody says something cheery or appreciative or just nice to me, a greeting, it makes my day and
Of course
cheers
it
me up.
does. Yeah. It lifts us. It definitely
Yeah.
lifts us.
Hmm.
And it's, I think if you can do one good thing every day, no matter how small it is, just
Hmm.
one good thing every day, you keep that light alive, I think,
Yeah.
that we all do have in us.
I think you're right.
I
And
feel a bit like Mary Poppins now. It's all perfectly right.
well, it's
We
just
try.
yeah, and it's we're talking generality here. We're not talking every second of every day or every instance, and
No.
sometimes we have to do things differently just for survival. But I think it's a general way to live.
It
It.
is, yeah,
Hmm.
it is. Definitely. And I think laughter. Laughter.
Yes.
I think that is one of the most important things in any relationship, be it mother to child, be it husband and wife, no matter what. I think laughter definitely is the best medicine.
Yeah.
So,
And I think when we start working with more ethereal beings, bringing that kind of energy in also then attracts like with those beings. And if there are any that are purely negative, I think they stay away.
I would
Um,
like to think so, yeah.
I haven't met anything pure evil. I don't tend to believe in demons. I have to see it too. I'm very much, if I haven't seen it, yes, I trust you, but maybe you got it wrong. I need to see it to believe it.
It has to be tangible.
Yes. And I
So
have
you're
to
like
see it with
myself,
these
you're a
eyes,
doubting
not this one.
Thomas. Yeah.
Yes.
You're,
Hmm.
I have to say I'm the same. I'd be a very logical thinker, very
Hmm.
pragmatic. Everything has to make sense.
Yep.
You know, um, as I say, Barry's nickname for me. One of his nicknames for me is Why.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I can't help myself. There was a thing that it was just a part of the Bible that stuck with me. Revelations was one of them, but this was another, and it was test the spirit that it be of God. And it made me so dubious of anything that I saw. It always kept my guard up. Not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe it has spoiled some experiences for me because I'm so cautious. I don't know. But we all have to walk our own path.
Yes.
I think. And I walk mine with caution.
I think that's important. And I do more so the older I get.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a little less cautious and more taking people sometimes at face value in my younger days. And that didn't usually serve me very well.
You can
And
get
there
quite
was,
hurt.
yeah, and some decisions. I mean, nothing drastically horrible, but decisions that really weren't in the best for anything. Nothing illegal, nothing really morally wrong or anything. Just I could have done things better, and I'm grateful to be learning the lesson finally.
Good, good.
Yeah.
I do think that's part of it, though, isn't it? I mean, what do they say? The surest sign of madness is making the same mistakes and expecting a different outcome. And
Yes.
I think part of our experience on this plane is to learn. And when we
Yes.
don't learn, we get another kick in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't learn at that time, we'll get another kick in the butt.
Yes.
And I think I've observed repetitive behaviour and repetitive destructive relationships, and maybe a woman going for the same man continuously even though they know it doesn't work, and vice versa, a
Right.
man going for the same woman
Right.
until they learn.
Yeah.
It's just going to repeat itself over and over again, and then one day it's like eureka.
Mm-hmm.
I've discovered what I'm doing wrong.
Right. Uh-huh.
So, but
I think, yeah, it's part of our journey to become our own true, unique individual self, our soul, our spirit.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
our reincarnation experiences, our between life experiences, all of that is part of that journey. There aren't punishments, it's learning.
Learning.
Mm-hmm.
Learning.
And
I,
some,
I, I, I would definitely love to do past regression hypnosis, past life regression hypnosis. I would love to do it.
I do past life readings. I'm not a hypnotist.
Okay.
So when we can set up a time, if you like,
Oh, thank you.
I can do that this way, but we can set up a private session, and
Oh, thank you. I'd love that. I
Barry
would
can
love
be there
that.
if you want him to be. And
I don't mind if Barry's there or not. That man knows everything about me, so there's nothing
he probably
that he
already
can't
senses
take
your
part
past
in.
lives.
Pardon me?
He probably already senses your past lives.
I think there is a little bit of a suspicion. When myself and Barry met, I just it it definitely felt like we had met before. There was absolutely no two ways about it. We had met
Mm-hmm.
before. Our familiarity was so quick. We
Right.
were best friends within a month.
Right.
And it was so comfortable from the day that we met. That doesn't happen too
Mm-mm.
often. It really doesn't happen with people too often.
Right.
So I definitely think there was something in a past life.
Mm-hmm.
So he does too. So, or maybe we're
Good.
delusional.
Well, there's a possibility that everything we're shown is just to pacify us because the reality is beyond our ability to take in or comprehend.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, and so I'm open to that. But I tend to believe what I'm shown now and what comes to me, and being aware that it's not the whole picture.
Okay. Good. Good.
Um,
Again, as I say, we're always learning.
yes. Hmm.
We're always learning. Nobody has died and ever said on their deathbed, "That's okay. I know it all. I'm going."
Yeah.
Never.
Uh-uh. If they have, they've been very blindsided by life.
Yeah.
That's not quite the
Absolutely.
right phrase, but anyway.
But I agree with you. It definitely has taken a wrong turn if that's the way they're going.
uh, well, this has really been wonderful. I'm having a good time talking to you. It's nice to have a little chance without all kinds of other people or that kind of thing.
Good. I've enjoyed it, and I haven't gotten a chance to speak to you for quite some time now, so it's lovely for me too.
Good.
It's just unfortunate with Kathy's technical problems.
Right.
You know, I'll have to give out to her when I'm talking to
her. We'll set up a time to do it again, and maybe
lovely.
we can work it all out.
She's a wonderful lady, Kathy.
Oh, she is. She's a dear friend.
She's my sister from another mister.
Yep. Well, and she's how I met you and Barry.
That's right. That's right. Oh, she's a wonderful lady. I have to say, herself and Shannon, they're good people.
Yes, they are.
So.
And I've been trying to get them to come up. I always tell Barry my guest room is waiting.
Oh, bless you.
And it's even haunted.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful to me.
Ask Vivian about her experience. Now, if you talk to her soon, and remember, Vivian Powell.
Okay. I will.
And we see things down at that end of the house, and it's not an old house. Nobody died here. This is a subdivision that was fields and orchards when I was a kid.
Okay.
So it's interesting. You hear footsteps running down the street and nobody's outside, and
somebody's looking for your attention, obviously.
yes, exactly.
Good.
Well, Donna, I really appreciate this. It's such a joy.
Thank you so much, William. It's the very first time I have done this now. I suppose I've never really had too much to say. I've often just spoken to Barry about stuff, and that'll be it. But
well, and that's part of what I wanted to do. I think the world of Barry and what he does and everything, but I wanted your voice to come through as who you are and what you have to say, and Kathy's too. But I thought as the two of you were, because you've done a lot together.
We have, yeah. We have a great dynamic, myself and Kathy. We bounce off each other very, very well.
Yes.
She gives out and I don't listen. That's really the way it works. There's a lot of laughter when myself and Kathy get together now. She's got a wonderful soul.
Yes, she does.
And we have great fun together. And I think anybody that's around us when we're together has great fun too.
Absolutely. So, well, that's part of why I want to get the four of you guys up here.
Good. Well, then we shall make it so.
Good. Well, I'll put the links up to this, and I'll send them to Barry's messenger. I don't have a way of talking to you directly.
No, I don't do social media.
You're smart.
I think I am. I find it's an insidious world, and I
Yes.
think there are so many untruths being said from both sides,
Yes.
and it can be mind torturing for a lot of people who don't know which way to look. You know, fact
Right.
checkers are not fact checkers anymore, and you know, you just don't know where the truth is anymore. So everybody has an agenda, I think, on social media. So for me, I'm quite happy. I'll talk
Yes.
on the phone.
Yes.
I'll have a conversation, and I can ask questions myself then, you know. Um, I hope anybody that's listening hasn't been too bored now by my conversation.
I don't think so.
But thank you for having me again, William. It was really nice, and it was really good talking to you.
Good. You too.
So
And for all of you out there listening now, I thank you. And for those that'll tune in later, and you can always leave us messages. Make sure we get them down here or on the Facebook page, that kind of thing. And we'll talk to you all soon.